Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. This is my dear friend Corey Osborne,
Hello.
and we've been friends for how many years now? Goodness.
Round five, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was around then.
That sounds
It's
about right. Yeah,
hmm
yeah, around 5 or 6 years. And he is one of my favorite humans, definitely the most entertaining friend that I have. And yeah, we've just been doing a lot of camping parties and just getting to know each other through music and community and just wanted him to come on and share a little bit about his life story. He's got a fascinating story and also about his philanthropy that he's involved in and how he has turned his life around with different opportunities and invitations that people have given him, and now he's paying it forward. So Corey, do you want to just tell us a little bit about like your origin story, like who you were back in the day?
um sure. Well, even as a kid, you said I was entertaining. Even as a child, I had that energy. I've always was off the wall, silly, funny. And as I grew up and got into high school, it's when you're that age, you gotta have your thing to kind of be popular, and mine was being funny. I always would thought back then who was popular, that's who I was hanging out with, but it was because I was funny and I was wanting to impress people and make people laugh. So that kind of turned into a situation when partying and drinking and drugs started being on the scene. I was the guy that would, if he was going to take one, I was going to take three.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to funnel a beer, I'm going to funnel some whiskey. So,
Mm-hmm.
and that become an expectation. It was almost wouldn't lost the fun because that was just the identity I made
Mm-hmm.
for myself. And I went going through all that to bring up how it led into addiction. It went from fun and partying and impressing people, and that was my identity. To after high school, I ended up with I crossed paths with drugs eventually that I wasn't strong enough to keep on a recreational or
Mm-hmm.
pick it up and put it down again.
Could you explain to us a little bit about like where you grew up and what the culture was like and just what life was
Oh
like
yeah,
and where you're
okay. I
from?
grew up in I grew up in a little community called New Georgia, and that's in Paulding County. That's West Georgia, right over beside Alabama. Um, I remember when we got our first caution light. It was like big time. It was a small town, a very church on every corner.
Mm-hmm.
I was from the time I was can remember. I went to Sunday school, um, church, night church, Wednesday. That was kind of the whole Southern Baptist.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
uh, it was I was sheltered. I was my parents were very protective. My dad was in the military, career military. He's a disabled veteran, and my mom was is as housewife as a housewife could be. Got his clothes ready for work. She fixed the meals. The like I didn't know how to wash clothes until I got out of high school because she didn't want anybody in her laundry room. She just ran the house, and so really it was really they were really naive because they had neither one ever drank or done drugs or nothing. And my dad started getting sick. I lost my dad when I was about 18. Now he's still alive, but he's bedridden. It's just all the stuff that war can do to you
Mm-hmm.
is it did it to him.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of once I was able to not go to church, I stopped going to church. Just for
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have a healthy experience with it because looking back, my dad was sick with things. But when you're young, you just look at your parents and you just assume that's right. You look at them for your truth. And so looking back, I can see how his sickness and stuff really affected my church experience, because it was a lot of things that, as I started getting older and forming my own opinions, that I just didn't agree with. And so that was Paulding County's it's got a bad drug thing. All the stores, there's churches on every corner, and then there's stores with ding dings and dope pops on every corner. There's and I've been here my whole life, so I know everyone here in Paulding County, and that was a challenge.
What ended up happening with just the kind of the timeline of your life, and then when you were able to, like how dark it had gotten, and then
okay,
for you?
Well, from my late teens to my mid 30s, I was a methamphetamine addict. So that whole chunk was that. Dozens of jail trips, all of the stuff that comes along with it, ruined relationships, destroyed families, jail time, money, all of that stuff. And then it ended up, I went to prison. And when I went to prison, that's the first time I looked around and realized, hey, I ain't like these people. You know what I mean? Like in jail, it's a lot different, I guess I could say. But when I was in there, and I had a moment where I felt, because my dad's disabled, like I mentioned, and my mom was here trying to take care of the house, and I was on the phone with her, and she was crying, and I asked her, why are you crying? And she'd been outside trying to weed eat, and we've got an acreage, a big commercial weed eater, and it just broke my heart. And in that moment, I felt more shame and guilt that you could even imagine. I felt, but I also, at that split second, I also felt hope, and I was excited to move forward, because I made a decision right then that wasn't me. That's not me. This isn't who I am. And I'm not even going to worry about it anymore, because I'm moving forward as the person that I know I can be.
Yeah.
And that was okay. So then I got out of prison, and earlier I was talking about how when you know everybody in the county, it can be a little tough, because I went from a 15-year member of selling dope, doing dope, everybody that knew me as that. So when I come out, I cut everything off. I got rid of my phone. I got rid of all my I had to, I totally. So for a long time, I kind of I'm doing good in life because I'm not doing drugs. I'm this long clean. Well, the beautiful thing that started happening is before my life got taken over by addiction, a lot of the friends that you see that I have now, my little Dead Neck crew, we were friends, and we were going to Dead shows and stuff, and dope took me away from that. But when I turned my life back around and really started investing some time into my sobriety, they came back. It was like my original tribe was happy, but it really meant a lot. And I knew that I started then thinking better of myself when they started coming into my life again.
What is a dead neck, first off?
Okay.
What does that mean?
Well, it come from partying in the woods, right? There's the pirates and the mermaids and the fairies and all of that. And it's kind of a silly, out here in Paulding County, there's a good solid group of deadheads, Grateful Bread fans. To the core. Yes.
So like Grateful Dead, and it's kind of a like this, really intense, musical following, and like this cultural group of like country folks that love Grateful Dead, and that and kind of based kind of the social scene is based around music like that, right? Is that accurate?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that is it. And that's kind of, that's the common, that's the original community that I experienced. That's the first time I saw a community. I remember I was fresh out of high school, and it wasn't the Grateful Dead, but it was a band called Widespread Panic.
So when we go out in the woods, go camping and things like that, so people love to like it's like a festival, and it's music, and then people love to just dress up and take on these like personas, like the pirates, the fairies and mermaids and things like that, just for people at home to understand. So yeah, so how did so tell me about how being welcomed back into your original group of friends that was really into like music and like whimsy and like and camping and dressing up and having fun and like doing this performance art type of stuff. How did what was that like for you? How did that shift, like where you had been, that mindset when you were in prison versus when you started getting back into this culture that was more lighthearted and more life affirming?
Well, the first thing it helped with is when you've been living a life for 15 years that you're not proud of. You were a person that you weren't proud to be. That's even when you take the drugs off, there's a lot of self-worth issues
Mm,
that come out of it, and
mm,
insecurities, and just seeing them wanting me, wanting to be around me and wanting me back in started helping me to realize that I am more than just somebody that quit doing drugs. I am, but it's my life started, you would think if you're shooting up meth every day for years, stopping doing the drug is the hard part, but it wasn't. It was, I think, well, I can speak for myself. The times before that I've failed when I've just got to a bottom and I wanted to turn it around is the stopping and doing the dope's easy. It's the mess when you sober up and look around at your life and look at the relationships you've destroyed and the situation you're in and the work it's going to take to even, that's the work. The work's there. And that's when that started, was these group of friends. They are the first ones that helped me to continue to be encouraged,
mm,
to make sure, like Pijo, like he's a brother of mine. Like he's really instrumental, and he really was there for me. And through this, as I started getting back into this crew, and we was going to shows and all. Well, I guess another one of my friends, Hilster, he saw. We've always been friends. He's my original Libra brother, and we lost touch for years and years and years. And I guess he saw that. I can't say when I found this community that I was ready or I was where I needed to be, but I found it when I needed to because it allowed me to grow.
mm,
You've seen it with your own eyes, and sometimes allowing instead of just when you care about somebody, you help them to learn, and you help them to do better, and you help them to feel loved, and you help them to feel included. And that's the feelings that I started feeling that is absent from the world of addiction, because that's just as selfish of a world as it can be, because it all revolves around this thing I've got to have, and
mm,
I'll take from you to have it, or I'll take from my family, or it's selfish. And then when I started the mute, that this community, at first I pushed it away because it scared me, because most everything in my life that I've up to that point that I'd been excited about, or I was happy about, or somebody I thought that I loved. It all ended up bad, you know.
Mhm.
So I guess subconsciously I was like, it was them and me. I didn't feel part of the community. I just enjoyed being at their parties, you
Yeah,
know.
like you were a tourist almost.
Right, exactly. You know, I didn't get it, and then you know I started noticing, you know, when you're growing up, and you know back in high school, and the whole popular and the different levels of popularity, when you look back at it, it's like the more popular somebody was, usually they were some of the meaner, most conceited. You know, it wasn't a very like the cool people looking back. I always wanted to be like them, but now when I went to this community, the people in it, that even as an adult, I thought, man, I think they're cool. I like the way they act and the way they treat people. It's like they were welcoming. You know, they did. I've been made to feel loved, and that was another transformation. So it goes from a young boy stuck in a dogmatic religion to drugs, and then just a period. You know, when I first got out of prison, during the period when I told you I had everybody cut off, and I was just me and my mom hung out. You know, I'd go with her to grocery shopping. That's it. And I'm talking about for a couple of years, just and during this time, another important part of me, I don't know if I've shared this with you, but I truly enjoy gardening and growing plants and keeping them healthy, and being able to help them to thrive. And that was a big transformation, because during this period of time when I was going to just shopping with my mom or to Home Depot, I walked past this little succulent. You know, I'd never been into plants. I'd never noticed a blossom on a tree. I just wasn't, you know, I didn't really, dope heads don't garden too much, too much that I've seen. But so this little succulent caught my eye. I just fell in love with it, and I bought it and I brought it home, and I put it in a pot, and then I repotted it and fertilized it, and just loved it to death. I mean, you know what I mean? Like just, and I did that. I got obsessed, and I kept buying all these succulents, and I put them in arrangement, and then I'd want to rearrange them. What I'm getting at is the my mind, from being on tweaker time for 15 years, it's like it taught me nurturing. It taught me to slow down. You know, it's taught me, these plants taught me that they need attention, but you can't speed it up. You know, it's you just got to help them, give them what they need to thrive. And that was a turning point in my life when I found my love of gardening and plants, and that kind of you know, that's looking back on it now, that's like there's been major transformational things. You know, a lot of it, the plants, it's not like a one day or a epiphany type of thing. It's like one day you look back and see how you've grown in a positive way since then, and can see that. And that was a big one in finding this community. And once I found the community, or I say I found the community when I was invited to an event the community had. At first, I thought that's just what it was. You know, it was the reunion crowd or whatever. And so once I started developing relationships outside of the woods, you know, with people on it, because it's all silly out there. You know, it's silly time, and so it got to be where I only saw certain people. That's the only time I saw them. And then through going and investing time into friendships and going and supporting bands that I've come to enjoy listening to, just and making real solid relationships, it's really been a life-changing event, just to meet people of the caliber of like you and your crew. You know, I really hold y'all in high regard. You know, I've got a lot of respect for y'all and the way y'all treat people and the way you conduct yourselves. And
Thank you.
I mean, I really do. It's something that I admire it.
Thank you.
And And so I guess since we're on transformation, it's so I'm got caught. So I'm gardening and working and, you know, happier than I've ever been. And then I was working full time, running heavy equipment, and it was, I got up at 5:30 in the morning, and I don't mind. I've always worked. I mean, except for periods, I've never been lazy anyway. I've never had a problem with working. So I was doing heavy equipment work, and I was getting home at dark, getting up at dark, and I don't know if you've ever done any gardening as far as vegetables or crop top gardening, but it requires a lot of weeding and work. And I was caught in a situation where the thing I love to do, I only had such a little time to do it on the weekend because it's a lot of work, a lot of weeding, a lot of everything. So I started feeling like I was wasting time. And
Mm.
this getting up at 5:30 and getting home when it's dark, it it just made it feel like life was just bam bam, just I was
Passing you
just
by.
just waiting for the weekend.
Yeah.
I was just all I was doing was waiting for the weekend. And then I would end up going to going and getting drunk or something, having a good time at a concert, and coming home, and then just like repeat, rinse and repeat. Same thing. It was a same job, and looking back now, I can see that didn't allow me any time to me. I never was just with myself, present with myself. I never really thought about what can I do and work in my thoughts and my behaviors and my perceptions to help me be a happier, better, kinder person. I was just a hard worker. I paid my bills. I went and done the things I enjoyed doing, and that was it. And that was life. Well, so I have an older sister who was an amputee.
Mm-hmm.
So, and my father is disabled, and he has a lot of doctor's appointments with the VA. Well, my sister, long story short, she's lost her other leg, but it didn't happen at once. It was a series of toes, foot. It's a diabetic issue, is what it was. And during this time, they were treating her with daily high powered antibiotics up at I don't know what it's called, but it's where the cancer patients go take their chemo treatments, or it's like they hook you up and sit there. And anyway, she had to go every day. So I had to. Oh yeah, and this is right when the pandemic started. Right before, like, November. So I had to step away from full time work. So my sister, to take her to her thing every day. So that kind of pulled me out of that full time job. And then when the virus, right at first, hell, everything shut down. I mean, damn, there wasn't cars on the road. I thought it felt like a zombie apocalypse or something. I mean, for real, for
Mm-hmm.
real. And
Show us that again. Show, show us a
you
little
know,
bony hand, a little
but
prop.
it's I've had that a while.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it really shut things down, and I sat at home for months and months and months and went and got the groceries for my family because they're all have underlying health conditions. Like they're hell, I was scared for a while, and really, it was a real strange time. But through that, everything, social distancing almost sounds like a cuss word to me. Everything I love involves crowds and hugging, and do you know what I mean? Like, it really
Oh yeah.
it took everything out of my life that I enjoyed doing and that I went to do to escape this life I was living. Not it wasn't fulfilling. And it also took away at the same time that job that was keeping me occupied. So here I am, just sitting with myself and not even know what to do, and through that, it was a blessing because I forged a much deeper relationship with my family. I took on a lot bigger role in my household as far as taking care of people and just growing up. It, I know that's crazy for a 43-year-old man to say, but just really just being forced to act mature,
I understand. I understand.
I mean, it really was a big period of growth when I had the responsibility of this family and them getting to the doctors
Mm-hmm.
and them, it's really it's in my forethoughts now when I make plans rather than, looking back, I really didn't regard anybody else other than me. And that's a place I've grown into, and I'm proud of that. I'm proud of the fact that I genuinely consider other people when I make decisions, or try to be mindful of that. I mean, I'm still, I'm an imperfect vessel for sure, but from when just you've met me
Mm-hmm.
till now, it's the I'm still the same person, but it's I've grown and healed, not just grown, but I've healed. Like,
Yeah.
really, that during that period when I sat here, I chose to. I got Carl Player introduced me to a book called the Four Agreements. Right, so I never really dove into it for a large period of time, but it opened my eyes just to the fact that there's work I can do on myself, and it wasn't easy because all of the things I had to visit are painful.
Mm-hmm.
It's like growth to me was forgiving myself for the impact that I've had on my daughter, that's seen her dad. I've had to forgive myself from that. I've had to just forgive myself, because I can't go around and ask everybody forgiveness that I hurt. Hell, I could. There's not enough time left. I genuinely are remorseful, but when I forgave myself from that was a big step in me moving forward.
That's huge.
Because that had me that's painful. To realize that you've done things that's hurt people you care about that you can't do. It's just done. It's just all I can do now is continue to work on myself,
Mm-hmm.
and be the example that, look, I came back from that, and so can you. So
Yeah.
that was a big transformation. But I'd say the biggest thing that is brought mindfulness into me and has brought the desire to and the ability to speak kind to myself, because after I can be very mean and cruel to myself. I have a constant dialogue going on, and I've learned to start attempting to make it kinder. And that was a profound change when I forgave myself and then started being nice to myself. And that all started on a yoga mat. I never had meditated.
Mm-hmm.
I'd never expressed gratitude to myself for being good to myself. And
Could I
the
ask you, how did you first what did you think about yoga before you'd done it? And then how did you get invited and start getting into it?
well, I never yoga. Okay, growing up when I was a kid and even heard, there weren't yoga studios around here. I thought it was stuff people did up on a mountain somewhere. You know what I mean? Because that's
I
really
do.
how it's portrayed in
I do.
cartoons and shit you might see as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And also the dogmatic belief system that I was brought up in. It was just evil. Looking back, I don't. It was deemed of the devil, they would call it, you know. So I never, and then, well, I had a really good friend, a really, really special friend, Courtney. She moved off to Hawaii for a few years, and I guess she studied with the monks doing yoga over there. She had a life transformational experience, and she come back and she came and opened a little yoga studio, right? And she's we've always just had a really special friendship, and she had invited me. You know, she kept inviting me, and I've never really, even as I've never had any kind of feeling like it was emasculating for a man to do it. You know, a lot of men, I feel like it's. I encourage them to come to I encourage them if they think it's something for weak people to come do one of these power flows. By the way,
I feel like you are a man's man. I feel like you really do embrace masculinity, and I have always felt safe and good and comfortable around you. I know that I can be. Back when I was drinking, I knew that I could be, you know, intoxicated around you, and I was always going to feel safe and loved and protected. And I knew that, um, you know, we could just be, you know, completely comfortable, and I could be my, you know, rowdy, wild, flirty self even,
mm-hmm.
and you would always, you know, have respect and be kind to me, um, and you know, I could have my child around you, and you know, I knew that, like, I've always known that you've just been a, you know, since I've known you, in the last like 5 or 6 years or so, that you've just
Mm-hmm.
been a good man, just like a
Well, that
good.
means a lot because I strive to be. I really do. It. I guess the fact me losing my father, and again, when I say losing my father, I mean him being able to be an example of, you know, of a man,
Hmm.
and going into this community, as silly as we say it is, and that the silly things we do, I've really met some jam up elder men that have been, not just through their words, their wise words and their life experiences and cool stories, but their actions, the way they treat people, the way they treat their goddesses. You know, that was new to me. Was, you know, normal to me growing up was the mom cooking, the dad working, you know, the whole being subjective to your husband. You know, that's what that shit was. I mean, I thought that's what was right, you know, and
Yeah, the
then,
gender roles with the male being
right,
the head of the
exactly. You
household.
know, I really have grown tremendously from from our community. You know, I just have learned. I never was disrespectful. It's not like I was ever mean or cruel or treated anybody. It's just the way I perceive people has changed. You know, I think it's shows strength for a man to show kindness and compassion. You know, it's easy to be mean. It's easy to be violent. It's easy to be a bully. And that's one thing I know how much it meant to me for people that I was saying earlier that I thought, oh, those are the, you know, the key people that were just kind to me, not in a fake way, but in a genuine way. And it really profoundly impacted me to see just these men that are joyful and nice and kind and hardworking and worship their women, and just, you know, that's was foreign to me at first, but once the more I transitioned from being, like you said, a tourist
Mm.
to being a integral piece of our family, I would like to believe, you know, as humbly as I can say, I know I'm a part of things. It's uh, it's been it's been amazing. Like, it's really allowed me to. We was talking about yoga and what was my feelings before, even the way that I started. It's hard to explain, but the way I started viewing life after finding this tribe of people, that I wanted to be like. I want to be part of this. I can't believe y'all been doing this shit without me is how I felt. I was like, and so my friend Courtney, she came and opened a studio. She's out after me to go and Pijo, and I never went, and she moved, but she came and opened another yoga studio in Dallas, my little hometown here where I live.
Mm-hmm.
And I went and done some work helping her get the space ready, but I never, I'll come next time. I'll come next time. It's real. It's a awkward. It was a real uncomfortable going in there for the first few times. I mean, it's I can see how, especially here, that's pretty progressive to have a yoga studio in Dallas. Well, anyway, during the pandemic, I guess due to the restrictions or whatever, she wasn't allowed as many people in the class at the time. So she needed more retail space because in our community, we have a lot of people that vend and make different merchandise. And anyway, she needed more merchandise space to make money to compensate for the lack of people in the studio. So I went and done some remodeling with her because that's what I do. I'm a carpenter by trade, and I can pretty much do anything from the foundation to the shingles. And she needed a wall moved, so I went and moved this wall and just reconfigured her layout a little bit to better suit her needs at the time. And when it come time to ask me how much she owed, of course, you don't owe me anything. I love you and I'll support you in anything you do. So she gave me she said, well, here, you got a year's membership to this yoga.
So what did you have to overcome in your mind when you think about the when you think about how it was deeply ingrained that yoga was, not Christian, and that maybe men that were considered like weaker or softer or whatever are the ones that do yoga. So like, what did you have to overcome in order to finally get in the studio and get your butt on a mat?
Really, the only thing I had to overcome was my insecurity of just being in a room full of people watching. Now I realize nobody's watching you. They're barely able to do what they're, but anyway, I was just not wanting to, it was just embarrassment, not wanting to, relating back to, I battle with insecurities too, and it's getting better. The community's helping me with that too. But even me, it was like, that's just a room full of girls too, and I didn't want to be that creeper in the back. So I went and put my mat right in the damn front, right in the center where nobody, you know what I'm saying? Because I had a lot of misconceptions, but the only thing that I was hesitant about was just insecurity and being embarrassed about not knowing because I didn't have a clue. I mean, not a clue what it was at all. I'd seen pictures and I knew there were poses, but I didn't have a clue. And, but let me back up a little bit. During this time, I was talking about building this wall. I was with, Courtney was up at the Adrian. Her name's Adrian, but she was up there while I was moving the wall, and while we was doing that, I was catching up and talking about what we was doing. And this group of friends here in my little tribe in Paulding County, the Deadnecks, we love to get together and cook and party and listen to music and laugh, and it's always a good time, and eat, and we've always got food left. And I was just like, why don't we do this and feed some people? I've been involved back. I remember one time it was a church thing, but we were going out and delivering meals to the housing authority, to low income housing. And I remember that I felt like it was right, but I didn't. It's like I wanted that without the fine print, just the niceness with none of the sales pitch. Not to reduce that down to a sales pitch. I respect everybody and their beliefs, but it's I don't know, pure kindness is where my mind was. And so I asked Courtney, Adrian, I was like, well, look, can I use your, because she's just right up in the middle of the city of Dallas. And I asked her if we could use her facilities to do a little meal and to kind of telling her how I was wanting to get some meals out to these low income housing and there's a big homeless community there. And, but at this point it was just a meal. Well, she just took my idea and just injected it put so much energy into it. We had a full-blown community enrichment event with, we took out over 200 meals, hygiene packs to the homeless community, had our kids writing cards to the nursing homes. And it was taking these meals out. I'm telling you, it's something. Let me back up. I'm getting ahead of myself. So she started, and I figured, if she's going to put so much energy into me and my dream, just like, got the nonprofit going and everything, but I was like, the least I can do is show her respect by going and trying the yoga out, because she keeps telling me it'll change your life, and I'm like, yeah. And by just being up there at the yoga studio working, I started seeing these teachers, and a few of them are lifelong friends. And when you see somebody and you're like, they got something that I would like to have in my life, like, there's a big difference in seeing something in somebody that you would like to have and somebody telling you what you need to have, and so I was like, well, I'm going to do this thing. And I remember making the commitment. I was like, Corey, this shit ain't going to work after one time. You're going to go every Thursday, because Thursday night was the class that my friend that I'm really good part of our little crew teaches, and a couple of my friends were going or went with me, and it was like a Thursday night. And so I started going every Thursday night. And after a month or so, once I really got through the fundamentals of understanding how to connect my movements with breath, and understood the basics, just how to have a productive practice and really feel plugged in. The biggest step for me was that first class I took on another night with a lady that I didn't know in a class full of people that I haven't met, and that was real uncomfortable. So I started making myself go that Tuesday and Thursday, and then it just, I don't know, I called it took over. Like, I started going, I go 4 or 5 times a week now, and I just really jumped into it. I didn't jump into it feet first. I just made a commitment to myself that I was going to go long enough to see, I wasn't going to say, well, I'm going to go one time. I'm going to go for the whole month. And then it's really, really been the one thing that has helped me with how I feel about me, and helped me with how I speak to myself, and just I've got a long way to go with my meditation practice, but just the Shavasana at the end, that's the first time I really started trying to clear my mind of thoughts, and even setting an intention, or even just staying on my breath. It's really been a life-changing. I would go as far as to say, I cannot say that I can't tell somebody, hey, it's going to change your life, but I can tell everybody it has changed my life.
So paint this picture for me. So tell us, like, what it looks like, what it feels like to be at one of your events, and then, like, what type of people are there? What's the vibe like? Paint the picture for us.
Okay, well, we've had, we're relatively new. We got started in January, and we've had 3 events so far. And basically what we call them is community enrichment events. And they've kind of evolved. At the first one, we put together hot meals. I guess it was soup and, basic to-go meals. And we put together gender-specific hygiene packs, and had the kids doing the cards. And then we haven't really got the word out there enough that a lot of people from the community didn't come to the event, it was mainly all of us and us just delivering meals. And but it was a great success. We set out to feed. I mean, it was not one meal went unate. It was a great success. And then the second one, it's the same thing. We had a few people from the community come, but a lot of people. I mean, my mom's very supportive, and she comes. But a lot of my family that's really involved in their faith, I don't know. I think they haven't really put anything into it. They haven't, and I understand that. Whatever, I wouldn't want to do nothing of the devil either, I guess. But but while we're over here feeding people, that's it's kind of. This might sound selfish, but it's kind of satisfying for me and my friends that some of these people look at it like we need to damn get our shit together, and we're like, well, what exactly are you doing in the community? Not saying that, but just by example. By example, I want to shame people into being kind to people. We're so nice to people, and it's for real, and it's in our third event, we've had three, and on the third one, okay, so because I don't believe nothing's going to get fixed from voting or laws, or it's going to start in the communities, with community enrichment things, and that's kind of what we were trying to go for. And on this last one, it's like, but the community don't just consist of those with needs. It consists of those with small businesses, those with an abundance, those with a desire to help. And it's the whole spectrum. We're trying to tie it together. We're trying to get those needs met with people, because I've seen it and I felt it in my own life. When you help somebody with a genuine intent, it's a very good feeling. It helps you to grow, and I want people to experience that, as well as the people that have these needs to experience what it feels like to be helped just out of genuine kindness, to feel worthy and cared about, and it's so on the third event, we got a lot of local vendors involved. Well, I say a lot, we had 8 or 9, and it was a very awesome event, and it interacting with community members, because there's a lot of businesses in the community that's been in this community my whole life. And like I say, I've been here my whole life, other than little spurts here and there.
What would you say to a person who maybe has grown up like you, that has kind of been, side eyeing yoga, like that's not, Christian? Maybe they were taught that, indoctrination, that anything that's not, of the Bible or a different culture or anything like that is not, that is not healthy or godly, or just men, like, from your culture, that are like that are kind of maybe a little more just like rugged, rough around the edges, like men don't, they're not in touch with their emotions, or they're just, won't sit still and think, and like and turn their awareness inward. What would you say to what's your biggest like takeaway message for taking that leap, for making that transition?
Well, if I was speaking to a man that thought they were too tough and manly, or had that misconception, I guess I'd want them to explore why they felt like that. Why do they feel like their masculinity's based on how others view you? That's kind of weak. You know what I mean? Why do you base your masculinity on just doing anything that's beneficial to you? Why I never really thought about masculinity, or positive masculinity, or toxic masculinity a whole lot, until I started seeing, because until I started seeing it in the people I chose to surround myself with. You know what I mean? Because it's not, I mean, the normal is for men to be insecure. No, the manliness and that bravado is insecurity. Because to me, trying to present yourself in any kind of way is motivated by how you want people to perceive you instead of just being who you are. And I'd also ask them to think about, most people aren't kind and nice because it's harder to do than being mean and not involved. You know, it really is, and it's just not a coincidence that, as you see, we'll just take men, for instance, as they start to heal and they start to love themselves and start to respect themselves, that they become kinder and more open and not as tough, because it's just a facade, really. I don't know. I just would challenge somebody, especially, okay, you're talking about somebody that's kind of got an interest, but you know, they just need that one thing to kind of push them in that direction. Luckily, I had a friend. Just do yourself a favor and go buy a month membership and go as many times as you can in that month. And I guarantee you, I would almost say, if you do that and you don't continue going, I'll give you your money back for that month. There's no way to do it and it not have positive effects. You know, and that's really, it's like, when I say community, I really don't. Of course, I've got my community here, which is a geographical location, but I've built a damn fire ass community from my yoga studio people, y'all, you know, you and your crew, my dead necks. It's like, I'm really proud. I'm really proud of my tribe. And that's what's led to this nonprofit, you know, this thing that started off as well, let's feed some people with extra food. Let's just do what we do and be nice about it. Well, it's grown into a full-fledged 501c nonprofit, recognized by the state and the IRS as tax exempt. You know, we've got a real good foundation to do some big works out of that, and that to me is the biggest. I don't know what word I'm looking for, like affirmation of my tribe that I've put together. The willingness and the quickness they jumped on board. Like the dead necks, it's like, when's the next one? They're all about it. You know, I mean, people just started, it snowballed because you'll never know how much need there is until you start doing something where you're going out looking for the need. You know, like you might see some homeless people at the corner and be like, damn, there's homeless people here. Or you might ride by somebody and or however you assess the situation of your community. But when you are like, okay, well, let's go, there's encampments in Paulding County of homeless people. There's families with kids and stuff that are too afraid to go to get help because they think they'll take their kids away. You know, people think homeless and they just think bums on the street, but there's whole villages of people out there, and when you really, it's really humbling, you know, and it's heartbreaking to go out, and it's the weirdest feeling to be brokenhearted and humbled and uplifted at the same time. I don't know how to explain it. It's like,
I know
at these events, it's like I'll catch myself and I'll just be looking at my crew and them putting sack lunches together and going out and delivering meals and like really connecting, really, because you know my crew, we're a good people, and we go out and just really make connections, and then the next minute my heart's broke because there's so much hurt out there, and I just wish I could fix it. You know, I wish I could just had enough money to fix it, but then I realized, you know, it's not really money thing as much as it's a seeing somebody that's homeless, to look them in the eye and treat them like a person.
Mm.
What they take away from that, and I'm sorry, but it's not just about, it started out with meeting needs in the community. Just our slogans, kindness, everybody deserves a slice. It's kind of a play on the Grateful Bread, Grateful Dead, and it's not your typical, we're tie-dyed. It's like it's really impactful for the people to see the last people they would think, bunch of dudes with beards and tie-dyes, and they're the ones out there doing the work. And when we'd go deliver these meals and take them to these people, and it's like you can tell they want the meals, but then when we're like, well, we love you and we just want you to have a nice day. Here's, if you need something, here's our, and they're like waiting on it. They're waiting on what we're trying to do. Are you going to invite me somewhere? Like,
Oh yeah,
share
like an
something?
agenda, like get them
Agenda,
in and
exactly.
try to sell them your church or your.
Exactly. No, and when they see that it's just genuine, like you can see that, like almost a shock. And then one thing I found is when you show somebody genuine kindness, they're more likely to, like, we've had people that we've had an opportunity to help that's come around full circle, and now they're up serving and trying to help other people. And I think that people, when they get help with a punchline, for a lack of a better way to say it, that they sometimes accept the help, but they're like, yeah. But when they
And
see
just to
that
be clear, the punchline is like something like where a service or a community might say like, okay,
like, well, you
here's
can come to the food bank, but you got to sit down and hear a sermon first, or
yeah, here's a sermon
or
or
we're
like
trying to
a
raise money
timeshare
for just
or a timeshare.
exactly, whatever, whatever, there's, I'm not just trying to pick on, because I admire people that do kindness for anything,
Yeah.
but I think that everybody should have everybody wants and needs something to be a part of.
Yeah.
And I think what we're offering, and the dead Nick, but the Grateful Bread is everybody's welcome. I don't care if you're hungry because you spent all your money on drugs. I'll do what I can to help you, but I just want you to eat because you're hungry.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, and it's really opened up I think it's going to open up an avenue for people that normally might not be interested or nor invited to help, because there's certain, the sin industry, I guess you would call it, package stores, tattoo parlors, sports bars, smoke shops, all of that stuff that these people are excluded a lot when they're asked to be, just because differing opinions of what they do.
Yeah, and
And
just for other people in other regions, we call package stores here in the South. It's a liquor store, so
yeah,
that's a cultural thing. But yeah, so you're saying the people that are so you're willing to accept donations or service or like cash
the
donations.
only requirement is kindness,
Yes.
and no agenda. That's what the whole, our number one rule is the last thing you will ever see is us taking a picture. We might promote our events and maybe show us working, but as far as exploiting somebody with a need, or hey, look, I helped this homeless dude, let me selfie it and post it all over the damn, that shit to me is so off-putting that's my number one rule. And rule number two is number one. That's the only rules. I don't want that shit. Like, we've actually had to distance ourselves, because that's, people deserve to feel valid and to feel worthy. And I think, just how would it feel if you were hungry? So, I know if I was at a point in my life where I couldn't feed myself and I was hungry and had to take food from somebody, how it would make me feel if they took a picture of it and put it on Facebook so they could get likes and comments on it. I just feel like I feel like a lot of times it's good intention. And I do believe you can share things to inspire other people to be kind or to be an example. But there's a big difference between how can we help more people like this? And hey, look what I did. And that's the last thing. That's what we strive really hard to hold that standard.
What y'all are doing is having these events. So what's happening? Where's the funding coming from? Where's the food? Where's the hygiene packs coming from? And then like what's happening in between events? What's it look like? What is the nonprofit like doing?
Okay.
What's it looking like?
Well, the funding so far has been donations, internal funding. We kind of, whoever preps the food, they pay for it. We really haven't had any big expenses yet, and that's.
So it's all of y'all like dead necks just taken from your own
Well,
resources.
it's not just the dead necks, it's part dead neck, part yoga community.
Okay.
Because a lot of the people involved are people that I know from my yoga practice and the friendships that I've been forged through that. So it's not just, it's multifaceted who it is. It's not, it's really got it's real inclusive. It's not just one type of one, it's not just the dead necks. And so it's only been recent that, because I didn't understand, like, a nonprofit is a very complicated, it's a very detailed, it's not the easiest thing in the world to become a recognized 501c nonprofit organization. And it's even harder once you get that from the state, it's even harder to get the IRS to recognize you as a tax exempt nonprofit, because those are two different things. And so until we got that most recent certification from the IRS, we really haven't reached out for fundraising, because we haven't been able to, one of the things about a nonprofit is if we take donations from companies, it's advantageous to them as well, because come tax season, it's like, you can pretty much be like, well, do you want to give the government this money, or do you want to give it to a nonprofit? And we haven't really been able to reach out to these bigger companies, because a lot of them have money just earmarked for that, for their tax purposes. So we are having an event, and it's going to be our first fundraiser. We've got an amazing lineup of musicians, some really stellar bands. I mean, some really top-notch music, and it's not just a concert. It's going to be a community. It's October the 30th, and it's really going to be family and community centric. It's going to be a concert too, but it's also, I want to really get people involved. I want to bring back the old school sack races and the three-legged race and the Dunkin' booth, and we're going to have vendors and vendor treat, and just
So like
really,
a fall festival, Halloween.
Yeah, exactly. A fall festival, Halloween party for the community. It's from 12 o'clock at noon till 10 o'clock at night, $20 a carload. We want everybody to be able to get in. We're going to have a lot of activities for not just the kids, but adults and the families to do together.
Are you doing
we're
this
going
at
to
the
have
fairgrounds? Is it in the
it's at Raccoon Creek Music Park, is a music venue with infrastructure, showers, concession stand, 400 covered seats, and we're blessed to be allowed to use it. And it's really going to be I'm really excited, and I believe it's going to be an amazing thing for the community. And it's going to be our first thing to get the Grateful Bread off the ground. Now we will find a need and we get together and scratch whatever we need to meet it. But we're trying to just get the Grateful Bread in a situation financially where we can meet needs as we have them. We got office space. We need to build it out. We're going to get a computer. I've got I actually got a book, or Adrian, she got me the nonprofit, handed me all this stuff in a book. It's kind of like a nonprofits for dummies kind of, and there's a lot to it. I really had to sit down and study, and there's a whole lot to being a president or even having a nonprofit. And that goes to your point or your question about what we're doing in between events. we're trying to flesh out the organization. We're in the process of building our board. You know, we've got several board members selected, but there's we've got to we're going through forming the organization. You know,
Mhm.
we're because once we have our board members certified and put into the papers, then we have to have monthly meetings with minutes. You know,
Mhm.
there's a whole
Right.
it's big time. Like it's really, they're really stringent about what you have to do to maintain your
Sure.
501c.
Will you tell us a little bit more about like what this October party is going to be like, and like which bands are going to be there, and what your
Oh, I can. Well, there's
so you mentioned Ice
are
Worm?
you talking about the spooktacular?
Yes.
Or okay, it's
Yeah.
gonna the bands involved is a lot of my one of my lifelong buddies and his friends have a band called Ice Worm, and they've got a lot of special guests with them, including Jesse Hamilton. If any of y'all know him, he was in an accident. I think this is gonna be his first time back on the stage, which is
Yes.
pretty damn
So
cool.
Project Ice Worm is
Project
one of
Ice
them.
Worm, and then the Holly Street Band.
Hmm.
Look those guys up. I mean, they jam. They're all original content. Some just
Hmm.
good rock music. And then we've got we have Shayna Reeves
Hmm.
is going to do a set, who's a very dear friend of mine. Rachel Joy is a very dear friend of mine. It's kind of going to be from about 2 to 4. It's going to be like songwriter, singer, like showcasing individuals. And then this Ice Worm band, it's not just Ice Worm. It's kind of, I don't know if anybody knows the Atlanta Seven, but I mean, it's a 10-piece band with horn sections and backup singers, and
Oh yeah.
they're going to be it's going to be a performance with
Yes.
costumes. I mean, it's going to be a great time, and it's a family event,
Hmm.
you know, and it's just, I've learned that there's a balance in between, you know, you don't, I used to just feel like you had, like when I first got sober, it was like, I thought it was straight laced or hell bound, you know, and now I'm
Hmm.
like, hell, it's going to be a good blend. And I encourage everybody to come. And if you can't, you know, you can always support the Grateful Bread. It's, we're able to offer the receipts that's would be advantageous to you on your taxes. And we have a PayPal. It's
Hmm.
at Slice of Kindness. You know, that's the easiest way to donate. And I think it automatically generates a receipt with our EIN, whatever number they gave us to be able to do the tax stuff. Right. And we also could, we got a Gmail is, let me think, Grateful Bread Foundation at gmail.com. If you'd like to be put on the mailing list, because these events require volunteers too. We got the board members, but we also have a crew of volunteers. If you'd like to come out and help with anything, we'll keep you posted on all of our events and let you know how you could help with your time if you can't help with your money. But both
Exactly.
we
Good.
need, yeah, you know, we need we've got a Facebook page. It's a Grateful Bread Foundation on there. I've got an Instagram. It's at Grateful Bread Foundation, and we're in our website is gratefulbreadfoundation.org. And we're in the process of fleshing all those out now. You know, we haven't really got to a point where we've built our board members and got structured enough to have people, okay, you're going to do our social media presence, or you're going to
Mhm.
stay on top of our website. So we've got the domain names and we've got it all in place. So we're really at a building point, you know, and that's really why it's important that we get these donations. It's
Absolutely. Well, I'm gonna put all the donation links and all the ways that people
mhm.
can follow y'all on social media and make sure that people can do that. And so, what if a person is out of state and they're not, near Georgia or whatever? What would be the best way that they can help out?
Yeah, well, you can always support us financially through PayPal. I mean, money's always helpful, but
Great.
I'd say the best way is go outside and go feed somebody that's hungry and say you did it because you saw this. You know, if this can make somebody just be like, you know, it's just go be kind to somebody. and donate money. But
Mhm.
no, for real, it's I would just encourage them to find a way to help their community. Not that I don't want and wouldn't accept, but it's like I'm trying to help my household and then my street and then my city and then my county and then we're trying to grow. I would love one day to have a chapter of the Grateful Bread in another state. Or, I think this thing's really, I've really seen a good reaction to it because it's cool and it's inclusive and people are, it's like the last few years have put people in a position, they've been through a lot. I find that a lot of people are not just have needs, but are wanting to help, wanting to get involved with something to maybe make things better. So come if you can. I'll just ask if people can come check us out October 30th,
Mhm.
because you can look at our pictures and you can look at our websites and we got a few cool posters and this, that, and other. But to come out and to feel the energy and to see the genuine kindness that to see what's going on, I think you'll definitely be glad you made the effort to come out and check it out. And it's an opportunity to engage with other people in a healthy, happy way. It's a good place to for for us just to the more good people. I've found this through our community. The more good people you concentrate in one area, it's a good things happen.
Mhm.
And if nothing else, the music, like it's Pijo's, he does our music on this, and I'm blown away. I would pay money and travel to go see the music that's going to be played there.
I'm going to share my screen here and show how I'm just going to kind of go through the Instagram here for a second. So here's the flyer for the party that's coming up October 30th. And then here
Right.
I'm just going to kind of scroll through some of the things. You can kind of tell us a little bit about these as we go if you like.
Okay, yeah. This is Roger. He's a board member. We grew up together. You can't tell he's a deadhead with his tattoos and hat. He's always the first one there. He's always super helpful. He's always, let's do it. Anytime I've had an idea, when do I be there? He's got a servant's heart, and he's really a kind, awesome guy that I'm grateful that he's in my life.
Excellent.
That
And
picture. And this is a water at our last event. We had some local businesses donate a pallet of water. And back during what you saw in that last picture is during the days when it was so hot, we loaded a cooler up with ice and water and we just drove around handing out, our intentions were to find homeless people. But that day, we ended up stopping people that was cutting their grass or just walking down the road and just trying to be impactful in some kind of way.
mhm.
And so let's look. So these are just some of our basic event flyers. The first one where we had vendors is here on the left with the tiles of the different vendors. Um, that one. These are the vendors we had there. And that was really cool because when you bring in vendors, it was from a myriad of types of people and products. So it really, really making connections is what that was. We came a long way with that. And this was our third one. And this just talks about what we're taking up on our, we collect these items full time to put the hygiene packs together for our homeless community, or not just our homeless community, anybody in need. And we've done school supply drives at our last one. So that's what that was. That was our with second or third. We've had three, and this little pictures over here where you see the people sitting. This was one of our meetings at my house where we were discussing some things, and the guy in the blue shirt's a good buddy of mine involved, and he smoked the meat before the event. Yeah, see, I've known this guy for my whole life. Went to high school with him. He's a big deadhead, and we all got into mischief together. But we've all this is Adrian or Courtney. This is who like what she said here. Good friends do yoga together, but great friends start nonprofits together and spread kindness. So that's the co-founder of the Grateful Bread and the reason I'm in yoga. You know, I'm probably one of the kindest, sweetest people you'll ever meet. We started, this is our first swag. We had a lady that was involved that had one of the little Cricut printers, you know, so those were our koozies. It started feeling official when we started getting buttons, stickers, shirts, and, you know, we're growing. This is one of our events. You know, these are some of the people involved. You see the picture at the top was taken by a drone, but that was all that was us. That was the crew. That's who done the event. You know, this is our first event where we had shirts. We weren't vending at this event, but it makes me smile to look at them. No, I appreciate the opportunity of giving me this platform to not only promote just treating yourself better, not maybe helping somebody to feel like they're not in a place they can't come back from, and to spread kindness.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
So what would you say is the something that you would like people to have as like their take home message?
It matters. It matters how you treat people. You know, if I go in the store in the morning, I try to help the people working there to have a smile. You know, you never know how quick you can turn somebody's day around by showing them kindness. That's what I'd like for them to take away from it, and that it matters, and that it makes a difference, and that people need it. You know, there's a big need, and there's a lot of people that don't have kind people in their life. You know, you can be the reason there's one less person that don't have kind people in their life. So it matters, and it's cool, and it's manly, and it's strong to be kind, is what I would say.
Absolutely. Oh, this has been such a wonderful time. So then what does being a good man mean to you? Tell me the journey that you've arrived at.
Well, protective. It means a lot to me that the women in my life feel safe and protected around me, and being a servant and helpful and kind. To me, that's the man I strive to be. You know, respectful and hardworking, whatever it is you choose to do, and honest, and just trying to help other people along on their path. I think it's a very strong, manly thing to do, is to be concerned about others.
Absolutely. So for any people that might be listening that might be experiencing like a dark night of the soul, or a need for something more, to a desire to just have something change in their life, what would you tell them?
To do something maybe out of their comfort zone, to maybe find something that they know that they see in somebody else that they would like to have, and just to make a commitment to themselves to work on it and towards it, you know, and that it is, life is so good once you learn how to treat yourself well, and that starts with that. Just talk to yourself better, you know, be kind to yourself.
Excellent. Okay. And then in closing, what would you say is the biggest aha moment that you've gotten from being in service and doing this type of giving back to the community?
Just just the feeling after our very first event that I had, that 100% I knew I was doing what I was supposed to be doing. That I've never felt that feeling, that it was unique and special, and affirmed that I was on the right path.
And then how did your life change from that moment, knowing that you were on the right path and feeling that
Well,
affirmation?
I just knew that that was my mission. You know, I started being more thoughtful and mindful about ways I could help, and just putting effort and energy into that, is just to put feet on it. You know, do some, you know, good ideas are good ideas, but if you don't get out and do the work on it, then it's just a nice thought.
And then how did that change your outlook on everyday life? Wake up.
Gratitude, gratitude through the roof.
Mm,
Like I wake up grateful, and it's and you forget when you surround yourself with some or in them situations where there's people that would love to have your problems. You
mm,
know that they're. I just started. It helped me to realize that I'm really blessed, and I don't want to waste this whatever it is that I have that allows me to connect to people or to reach out. And I just feel like I just want to be a helpful vessel.
mm.
You know, I really want to continue to grow myself and to being more of the person that I'm know I can be
Yeah.
or that I'm going to be, putting the work in on
Yeah.
myself.
Excellent. Okay. Well, thank you so much for this time. Thank you so much for your vulnerable sharing. Thank you for the service that you're doing inward and outward to make the world a better place. And it's been such a pleasure to know you and to be your friend.
Well, I feel the same way, Holly. I've grown from you being in my life. Like you are one of the major people in my life that's helped me to heal and grow and see things in a way that I'm glad I see them in now. So yeah, I appreciate this opportunity, and I hope we can do this again. You know, it's there's a lot. I could do this all the time. It was kind of I was nervous at first, but then I've got a message, you know, and I want to get it out there. And I know that. I thank you for helping me.
Absolutely. Well, I believe in what you're doing, and I've seen the major transformations that you've made from the time that I met you to what you're doing now. And I'm so incredibly proud of you, and I hope that you're proud of yourself.
I am, and those words mean a lot.
Yeah. I love what you're doing in the life, and I love how you gleam. Okay, well, we'll have all of the links and opportunities to donate and flyers and supporting things with this post. So just look in the comments and everything, and we'll let you know how to get in touch with Corey too through Instagram. Is that the best way for people to reach you personally?
Right now, yes.
Okay,
Right now, it
great.
is.
Okay, excellent. Well, thanks everybody for watching, and thank you, Corey. And it's just been such an honor to be here and spend this time with you. And my life and my essence just feels so much more uplifted from having spent time with a quality person like yourself.
Yeah, I feel the same. I feel like we're doing good things here. This was
It
good.
feels good. It feels good. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here, and I hope you have a beautiful day.
Okay, I love you, Holly.
Love you.